So what do Al Bundy and WrestleMania have in common? Well, when the present starts getting a little awkward, suddenly we're all invited to sit back and admire our old wins and box scores. And that's why this story actually caught my attention. Because on one side, you have reporting saying that WrestleMania ticket sales in Vegas are softer than they were last year. Fans are grumbling, prices are too high, the pace is behind. And the company has had to lean on discounts to actually help move inventory. But on the other hand, you have this huge burst of chest thumping about what a gigantic bonanza WrestleMania really is for Vegas, and how this is a monster for the local economy, how this thing is practically a civic miracle with pyrotechnics. Now, if you're just a normal person trying to follow this story, you look at those two headlines and you say, wait a minute, hold on a second. Which one is it? Is this event cooling off, or is this event of financial meteor crashing into Southern Nevada with sacks of money flying everywhere? Now, what makes this story even more intriguing is that this is one of the big events that's supposed to save Vegas and bring all the tourists back in 2026. Heck, you don't believe me? Here's a December news report showing how important this event really is.
There are several events, or several big events, I should say, that are going to happen next year. CES returning in January. March Madness, of course, always huge. And then WrestleMania 42, that will take over Allegiant Stadium in April.
Now, the softer sales side is not hard to understand. According to the reporting, when tickets first came out, the cheapest way into both nights of WrestleMania 42 was over $850. That's your entry point. That's before hotels, before plane tickets, before parking, food, before drinks, before whatever tribute payment Vegas extracts from you for simply existing within the eyesight of casino slot machines. And now for a lot of people, that number, it landed like a brick. As of April 10th, the reporting said just over 40,000 tickets had been distributed for night one and only 42,000 for night two. Now that might sound like a lot, and it's not nothing, but each night was set up for about 45,000 seats, and that was still well behind last year's pace. Last year, WrestleMania in Vegas was pulling numbers around 60,000. Its announced attendance came in at 58,538 for night one, and over 60,000 for night two. So this is not a tiny drop. This is a real difference. And once those big opening prices hit resistance, we started seeing the familiar scramble. Discounts, promos, adjustments. That's what happens when an economy tries to discover the absolute maximum amount of money it can extract out of a fan base, and then finds out, oops, I guess there's limits after all. USA Today laid it out pretty cleanly. Fans were not only annoyed by the price itself, they were also questioning whether the card justified the cost. Last year's events had its own special demand engine behind it. This year didn't have the same gravitational pull. So the customer is looking at the ask, looking at the lineup, looking at the trip cost, and saying, well, maybe not. And that's the fan side of the story. But the Vegas story is fascinating and radically different. Before I get to it, I just want to pause for a second, because all of this comes down to money. And one of the ways that I've actually found I can pick up the slack in my life is by trading in the futures markets. You know, imagine this for a minute. You could learn a way where you could sit at your computer for like 15 minutes a day maybe, look at a couple of lines, click some buttons, make some money. And I'm talking little base hits for most of my students in my own course, 1K a day. You know, they're making 50, 150, 200 bucks, and they're in and out. They're finished. They can pay a bill or two, maybe their mortgage. Would it be nice to pay your car insurance or maybe your car payment and not have to worry about it so much every single month? That's why I made 1K a day. It's my own system. I'll show you how to get those base hits, how to learn what to look for. The same things every single day like clockwork happen over and over again. On the futures market, you click money, you make it when it goes down, you make it when it goes up. It's dead simple. Anybody could do it, even a kid. You should teach this to your kids. So if it sounds like it might be life-changing for you to do something about it, finally, here's what I want you to do. Just click the link in the pinned comment down below. And for the first 4 people watching this video, I'm going to give you my course, 1K a day, all-inclusive, lifetime access to our founding members price. Now, we did raise the price from $199. Okay, it's $249. That's all you'll ever pay. But you got to use the coupon code NEWS52 at checkout. And it's only for the first 4 people. And for the love of Pete, please do it before I increase the price. Prices go up. I got to put my price up tomorrow. So this is going to be your last chance to get it for $249. And then maybe next year you'll take me to WrestleMania. And my wife too. She loves stadium hot dogs. I can't understand it. So the Vegas story does not start at the turnstile. It starts with the room tax, the restaurants, the ride shares, the bars, the merchandise, the convention-style side events, and the television optics. Things like national headlines, city officials in suits calling it a destination driver. Vegas doesn't care whether every single seat is sold at top dollar. All Vegas cares about is whether the event can drag bodies into town and make them sleep, eat, drink, and spend, and then go home and brag about it on social media. That's why you have to watch all the local money. See, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, they approved a $6 million sponsorship for WrestleMania 42. $6 million. That's not some tiny handshake deal where the city just wished them luck and put a banner on a website. This is a public tourism money. It's tax money. It's being used to secure the event. And now on top of that, Nevada approved about $4.3 million in tax credits for WrestleMania 42 related productions. This is based on more than $35.5 million in projected spending, mind you. So before you get to the first entrance theme, you already have a local support structure helping make the entire weekend hopefully worthwhile. And from the city's perspective, why wouldn't they do it? They already watched last year work. The LVCVA put up $5 million for WrestleMania 41. This year is $6 million. And that's not hesitation. That's actually positive reinforcement that it's working. But now here's where the story gets really slippery. Because right as the softer ticket sales reporting is floating around, the WWE and TKO Productions push out a press release talking about the enormous economic impacts in Vegas. These are giant numbers. Big civic payoff. We have jobs, wages, taxes, non-local visitors, international people came to Vegas? I thought they didn't do that anymore. These are all the ingredients for a triumphant headline. So you read that, and then the average person hears it. They see the event is crushing it. The doubters were wrong. Vegas wins again. But wait, pump the brakes, slow down. See, this is the part where the magician wants you watching the shiny hand. The enormous brag making the rounds is not really a report card on WrestleMania 42. It's largely a victory lap about WrestleMania 41. And you see, that's the move. The company announced that WrestleMania 41 generated $322.2 million in economic impact for Las Vegas in 2025. They said it supported 2,600 plus local jobs. It produced $122 million plus in salaries and wages, and it generated $7.3 million in taxes paid by the organization and by visitor spending. Now, they also said that 90.2% of attendees were non-local, 22% were international, and 85+% traveled to Vegas specifically for WrestleMania 41. Now, all that is impressive, and yes, all of that is useful. All of that is also about last year. Then they sweeten it up further by bundling WrestleMania 41 together with the Canelo-Crawford fight. And they say these two events generated a combined $626 million plus in economic impact for Vegas in 2025. Again, yes, that is a huge number. Again, correct, that is not this year's ticket pace. So the reason this year's story feels contradictory is because different conversations are being blended into one emotional conclusion. The first conversation is about whether or not WrestleMania 42 is moving tickets as strongly as last year. Now, on that question, the reporting says, no, not really. Prices were very aggressive. Fans push back. Sales curves, they look softer. The second conversation is about whether a WrestleMania weekend can still be a good business for Vegas. On that question, the answer can absolutely still be yes. especially when the city is judging success by visitor spending instead of fan affordability. And see, that's why both stories here can exist at the same time. One story is about strain at the consumer level. The other is about the value at the city level. And in Vegas, the city level is oftentimes the only thing that gets the microphone. So that doesn't mean the numbers are fake. It means the framing is selective. And if you're the WWE, the last thing you want people dwelling on is this year's softer ticket pace, the sticker shock, or the discounts being had. So what do? You remind everybody that last year's event was the highest grossing, most successful WrestleMania in company history, and that it delivered the largest economic impact figure the WWE has ever measured. Now, if you're Vegas, you're thrilled to amplify that message because it helps justify why public tourism money went into the deal in the first place. If you're local media that lives and dies by access, boosterism, and the permanent requirement to keep this place sounding bullish, then a giant impact number is much easier to celebrate than a story about fans getting priced out. And that, my friends, as Paul Harvey said, is the rest of the story. Not that one side is lying and the other side is telling the whole truth. It's that one side is talking about what's happening now in the building, and the other side is talking about what happened last year in the city. Different year though, different metric, and a very different purpose. So when you hear that WrestleMania is this incredible financial windfall for Las Vegas, you need to understand what's actually being sold to you. You're not necessarily hearing proof that WrestleMania 42 is on fire right now. Instead, you're hearing a very polished case for why WrestleMania business models still work for a town that can monetize a visitor 6 different ways before they've gotten their breakfast buffet. That is Vegas really in one story. And that brings us to the main question of this video, doesn't it? How are Al Bundy and WrestleMania quite the same? Al Bundy, when backed into a corner, would blurt on about his 4 touchdowns in a single game at Polk High.
Ever hear of Al Bundy? Polk High, all city, 4 touchdowns in one game?
And WrestleMania, feeling a little bit of stress, is simply going to brag about the past, Al Bundy style. Now look, I thank you for watching. If you're even 1% smarter after watching this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. Leave us a comment on what you think WrestleMania is worth to you, if it's worth anything at all. And also be sure to check out 1K a day if you're looking to do something special with your life and learn a skill nobody can take from you. The first 4 people get the special price below. There's some videos next to my head. You should click on them. YouTube knows you're going to like them. I do videos 5 days a week, Mondays through Fridays, and live streams on the weekends. And until we meet the next time, you will get success in life if you just do what my mentor reminds me on a regular basis, which is just keep swimming.